Right. Let's do this then. So the team we want to talk about is got to be G2, because you alluded earlier, and this is something, I know she just slipped it in under there. You were like, oh, obviously we're going to win, and if we don't win, I would say Fnatic. And then you remember, because he didn't make Rogue top 3, Dom, he had to have a third team, didn't he? So he just sluck in there. He just went like, oh, maybe G2. And then he just said nothing and quickly moved on. Right? There's like, whoa. Let's go all the way back to there. Because the G2 that we're seeing at the moment, listen, I'm with you. They've won some good games. But actually, a lot of people think this roster's a bit underwhelming, Alphari. Like, Targamas looks fire. Flacken's okay. He's just an LEC player. caPs is, he's not like, put it this way, he hit the caPs from a few years ago, mate. Like, I bet you'd like to see this fucker in a final, not the one he had to play a few years back. So, like, where do you think G2's at as a team? It sounds like you're pretty high on him.
Okay, maybe high on them is like wrong word. Okay, so like if that's like imagining a team coming first, right? I think G2 have a higher chance than Rogue, but I think Rogue have a higher chance of coming top 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like a ceiling type thing.
G2 has to get everything dialed in, it sounds like, for it to happen.
I have a lot more confidence in Broken Blade, Jankos, and caPs being able to like outperform and carry when it matters than I do for Rogue. Like, I'm not super sold on G2 bot lane, but I think that Broken Blade, Jankos, and caPs, they have like a really high ceiling. And I'm not going to disrespect a team that has Jankos and caPs on it until they actually lose in playoffs, because they are so fucking good. It just depends on the meta a little bit with Jankos, I think, because I mean, if it's like Kiana Talon, like with Wolves, then maybe G2 will not be that good. But if it's like if it's like
you're
a
calling
stable
him a dog jungler, you're just
he's a dog jungler, but he's a really good dog jungler. He's the
like
best
a golden retriever.
in the world.
He's a really good boy. Exactly.
Yeah, he's a really good boy. Yeah, so
perfect.
He's a great boy, and if caPs has a good series, he's fucking insane, right? As well, and Broken Blade. I think he has like the most surprising picks, and I think he plays with a ton of confidence. So I think that he can be like a challenging top laner to play against, and he will not be afraid to like take the game into his own hands. Whereas I don't think a lot of players, a lot of top laners will be willing to do this. So I'm a fan of G2 just because of their top side compared to other teams. I think they have good ceiling, so I would not be surprised if they are good in playoffs. But the bot lane is kind of weird. I don't know about bot lane.
Dom, right, obviously your people know you're friends with these, been on stream loads of times with Broken Blade, and he was a player you did push for this move to happen. Spoiler, like, you did do it at the time when it was sort of known behind the scenes it might happen, but that's just the way the industry works in case fans don't know. Like, it's not like you made it happen by bullying him or whatever the fuck. But what I would say is this, right? Where do you actually think Broken Blade is at right now, though? Because on this team, like, I have to say, Dom, I'm not like underwhelmed. Like, I first of all, I didn't think he was the best, but like, I don't think he's playing bad in any respect at all. But I did think this sort of a team setup, like when they signed Flacked, basically, mate, my first thing I thought was like, Broken Blade better be like absolutely one of the best top lanes if they want to win in this team.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I still think he's top 3. I mean, if I were to say top 3, I would say, like, in no order, I would say Alphari, Wonder, and BB seem like the best to me. I mean, I think there's players that are more consistent than BB. The thing about BB is he's always going to be the type of guy that wants to play like the super outrageous champion picks. He's going to be like, oh man, this is like really a Kiana top lane here. And it's like, dude, are you sure? Like, that's a Graves that you're playing against, and he'll just fucking do it either way. And he'll try to make it work. I mean, he loves to have like a specific counter to everything, but I feel like that's kind of the way that this team is set up to function. Like, it doesn't seem like, for me, caPs is like, he's really desiring specific counter picks a lot of the time. It feels like a lot of the time caPs right now is, hey, pick me Ori in a fine matchup, pick me Victor, whatever. I don't know if that's necessarily just because he's playing with Broken Blade or just how he feels right now. It doesn't seem like he's as confident as he once was. So I feel like their team makes sense. Like, you have BB as the person that's going to be like the wild card in your team, and I like that for them. I think the thing that's still interesting for me, and one thing I wanted to ask you about, Alphari, is how you perceive caPs now, because obviously when you last played in LEC, this guy was like by far the best player in the league. Like, no one was even close to as good as caPs. At least that was like the perspective, the perception of him.
Most people would say even in the world he was like one of the absolute best players, right? Forget even just Westerners and shit. Like, he was better than some of the Korean mids I used to watch.
Definitely. I mean, like, I did a tier list before 2020 Worlds, and I put him second overall, and that was fair. Like that was drama right there. That was drama. People are like, what the fuck does this guy need to do to be first? Like, how are you putting like, I forget who I put. Maybe I put Showmaker above him.
Probably Knight or something. I'm guessing if I had to guess one of the
maybe
two.
Knight. Yeah, maybe I put somebody like that above him. But yeah, I mean that was controversial. And now obviously caPs just doesn't seem like he commands the same respect. Like no one's going into games like, how many Magi stacks is caPs gonna get this game? It's kind of just like he's a normal player now. So what is your perception? Do you think that people were maybe like too high on him before, or do you think he's still like, you know, really good and he's maybe underappreciated now?
No, I don't think people were too high on him before. Like when in like 2018, 2019, at least 2019, he was really insane for sure. I think that his style is definitely noticeably different now, because before it would be like he would just play any champion. I think that he would rather counterpick, and now I do feel like he does tend to rather play safe as opposed to being kind of crazy with how he plays. Maybe that's just like G2 in general, right? Because into like 2019 when they had perks, AD carry as well, they would like they could play any champion, they would just like not give a shit, and they would it was like they were playing to have fun, but they would happen to win and stomp people. But yeah, I think that now caPs, he seems like a much more standard player. I don't know if he has as much confidence anymore, because he does seem to prefer control mages. I still think he's very good, but I also think there are like other very good mid laners in LoC now. I mean, Perks is competition for him again, right? And Humanoid has also become very good. I mean, maybe not doing regular season all the time, but I think Humanoid is actually like really insane too. So
Larson, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, actually, Larson is like really good control mage player too, right? But
everyone just forgets about Larson all the time, man. That's just what it is. Like anytime you have conversations about mid laner, they're like,
sure.
Yeah, Larson. Like if we were to be realistic at this point, right? Larson's got to be in the conversation for being one of the best players of the split so far. And
sure.
For some reason, people just love disrespecting.
It's the thing, though, dude. Because he's a mid laner and he has choked a few times. Like, this is the other thing. People are now going to find a way. Like, even if Rogue wins, he won't be the one who gets the credit, mate. Like, I've already seen. I noticed, by the way, just because it's Larson and his baggage, already it means that comp now has, like, a serious MVP candidate, like, status. Because they have to find some other players to give the credit to. Like, it can't be on Ahmed, because everyone knows he's a dog for his whole fucking career. Obviously, Malrang's just some Korean guy just going all in instantly in the game. Like, so it has to be Larson or comp, and everyone's going with comp now. I noticed they've sort of shifted off Larson completely. He's not even a player anymore, mate.
I want to let you finish your point, Alphari, on the because I kind of cut you off when you were talking about. So you were saying that like there's more competition now for caPs in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think there's just like more competition, and he does not seem to be as crazy as he used to be. Like I think he's still good, right? But the difference between how much better he was than other players is like not there anymore. He used to be like a lot better than other mids. He used to be really creative with roaming. When I remember like 2019, not like mids in Europe were like not roaming very much, and they were not playing like these weird counter picks, and they were not playing the map as well. So I think players caught up a bit. I think he's maybe just like playing more standard. He's still a good player, right? But he's just not, the best in the West or the best in Europe, I would say, anymore. That's all. He's still good. He's just not like, wow, it's caPs anymore. Whereas before it was like, shit, this guy's really good. Now it's just like, okay, if we're playing against G2, they have strong top side relative to the bot lane. That's it.
What do you think about that, like stylistic difference, though? Because I actually think I did see, Dom. I can't find it now when I was searching while you were talking, but I saw something on Reddit this split where I think Nelson, who obviously now is in XL and was in G2, he said something like this about caPs. Like he said something like during his time with caPs last year, like that you as a player he was sort of like taking less risks or something, or he just looked at moments in the game where you sort of didn't have to be active and do something. So I want to ask Alphari about this, because a lot of people would probably say similar about you, Alphari. I think that's where some of that criticism comes from, that they think outside of lane you aren't that good. They think from your CS that you're just trying to play like a super strong conservative laning style, and then they think beyond that you don't do anything. As I said, that doesn't really match the eye test at all. So what I would ask is this, is if you look generally, and it's a topic we've discussed on these shows many times, if you look generally, a lot of the really good players do start out really like mechanical, super hypey, go for all the players, and over time a lot of them settle into like a fairly standard style of play and they just become really good. You can even add in even all the old school mid laners were like that. By the end they're all just really good mage players, aren't they? Right? What would you say to that? Because I think it's pretty rare that you have great players that stay as aggressive. Like the rare examples, funny enough, were the people who win Fnatic. It was people like Bwipo and Hylissang. I can't really think of many others who just keep that like level of aggression and style. So what do you like? Do you actually view it as a negative? Like in your own style of play, would you say you play a bit conservatively? Is it just a better way to play the game? I mean, I would just say as a side, when I've asked players who are good at this style, they usually would tell me pretty straight up, like, well, eventually, basically what happens is in the early days when you're just playing for yourself, you think I have to get like 2 or 3 kills in this lane to win the game. And then later in your career, if you're a really good team fighter, for example, you think I just have to be up in CS. If my teammates do my job, we win the team fight, right? Why do I have to take a risk now? Where's your head at on that approach? What style do you favor, or where do you come down on that topic?
So I think that now every style is kind of the same, I think, or like very similar in terms of like mid late, because dragons are in the game and dragons are so broken and split pushing is like not so much of a thing. Although now it might change a little bit because Hullbreaker, like people have started to realize this item exists and people are building it. But I don't think this will change too much. So I think that now it's like maybe harder to be creative, and also teams like, you know, it's just normal as a like sports or esports develop that, like, I don't know how to say it, but the differences, or like, I mean, people just level up, right? Teams level up and
Yes.
they grow like an understanding of the game.
Yes.
If you would put fucking, I don't know, Misfits from now against G2 in 2019, Misfits would probably win. Like they would be like smarter, or they're like really like good competition, right? And that's not because Misfits are a better team now than G2 were in 2019. It's just because teams in general are smarter and players know like a lot more about the game. And it is just a video game, right? Like it's like about how much stats a champion has, where the enemy champions are. It's about seeing the information and doing the right thing with that information. And so often early game, it's like it's all rehearsed time and time again, like hundreds of times. You rehearse early game over and over. So it's like you can't be super creative early game generally, unless it's like something weird in the meta, like Janna top, like some weird game-breaking thing thanks to a weird patch. And I would say as well that because of dragons, the game has also become more stale, or maybe not stale, but systematic. So
More telegraphed, like you know exactly where everyone's going to have to be at right times, etc. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I think like it's really hard to have like a very aggressive, like a very like insane aggressive playstyle nowadays, right? Like the only player that comes to my head where they are like crazy like this is Hylissang, and this is just because it's Hylissang, and I will always think like this as well, maybe. But if you like look at every other player in LEC, it's not like anyone else has like a very unorthodox style.
True.
Every player plays the same. It's just that some players are better than others, and it's like marginal differences as well, right? Every player is good. It's just that there's like marginal differences, and every player plays similar, but it's like different champion pools sometimes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. He actually just recited exactly the speech Kazi gives at the end of every review session. He must have just learned it by heart. Fair enough. Okay, so
Okay.
well, I had to blame someone. Someone had to get some flame there. Whatever. It's
Just
by
random
the by.
cards.
I know it's by the by. It's whatever.
Well, I mean, so when you were talking, I was also thinking about like how the game has changed. I mean, in season 11, a lot of it was just full clear jungling. When I think caPs was like at his best, there was a couple things that were just fundamentally different. Like junglers had a lot more freedom. I mean, there was like set jungle and like Volibear jungle and like all these like weird gankers that didn't really have to clear and hit certain timings. And then also like TP changes. I felt like caPs was one of the guys that would TP in the early game to other lanes way more than everyone else. Like everyone else would be using first TP on their turret, and caPs would be like, I don't care about like, you know, if I lose the wave or whatever, I'm going to like TP to a bot lane fight. Like he TP's mid, I'll TP bot, and I'll actually get something done. So I feel like the game is actually fundamentally different. But there still is like some things that make me feel like his confidence is off, which is like the flex picks. Like when I think of G2 and they're at their strongest, with Perk's 80 carry and caPs mid, I thought one of the things that made them so strong was all the flex picks that they had. They had like Syndra bot that not many people were playing. So they had Syndra mid or bot, and they both were excellent at it. They had Yasuo mid or bot. They're both excellent at it. Even like Zoe was a flex for them. So there was so many different things that they could actually play together that I thought just gave them like this like scary
Dude, they had a three position flex pike, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, they had 3 position flex pike.
That's pretty good when he can flex at 3 positions.
Yeah, Ryze could be flexed like mid top, and I feel like that was something that I was kind of hoping that they had with Broken Blade, because when I think about caPs and Broken Blade as players, those are 2 players that I feel like can play anything.
Sure.
You know, like they don't really have like defined styles where they're going to be better or worse. I just feel like they're just pretty versatile in the champions that they like to play, and they like having big champion pools. So I guess that's kind of what I'm a little bit disappointed in watching G2 is I'm not seeing any of those flex picks ever go towards like caPs, you know, like if a Yone is picked now after what we've seen, it's like, yeah, it's probably just going top. Broken Blade's probably playing the Yone, where normally I would want to see like that be actually more of a, you know, a draft condition that people had to work around.
I'm not a huge fan of just seeing like caps locks in Oriana like at the beginning of the draft. Like that is a bit boring, I will say. Come on, mate. Your caps.
Caps with the big P now. Well, which is ironically the one that's more passive, but you know, it is what it is.
I forgot what I was gonna say. I think about flex picks, right? So you were talking about flex picks in 2019. I think one of the reasons G2 were actually so insane and why they were so good is because of flex picks, right? And it's also because the players enabled them. But this was also like the only time, or like the first time, at least in Europe, I'm pretty sure that flex picks became like a thing. And every single team was trying to understand and learn flex picks, but teams were just not good enough compared to G2. Like they were slower, and it was like a new thing. And G2 were kind of inventing flex picks as well. And this is like one of their strengths. Like actually, they like kind of invented flex picks compared to the rest of Europe. I mean, maybe it's like because the players back then were like not capable of playing all these mechanical champions compared to now. Hence why you see, you know, I mean, I can't think of like many. I mean, expect Soas, guys like this top lane, right? You can't see them playing like Aurelia or Akali compared to, you know, I don't know, Broken Blade, right? Just as an example. Hence why new players come in, because I don't know, you just have to like, the game evolves. And in 2019, it's like the first time, at least that I can remember, I'm pretty sure it's the first time in my career that there were like real flex picks in the meta. And now everybody knows about flex picks, and also the meta just doesn't allow it a ton right now. But let's say Aurelia is broken champion, you know, caPs going to play it. Like I have full faith. If Akali is broken champion, caPs going to play it, and Broken Blade's going to play it, and they're going to flex it, right? It's just right now, they are both playable champions. It's just they're not like super OP, and it's not like flex picks are like a new thing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to watch old G2, you'd see Gragas Yasuo, and like for everyone else, Gragas Yasuo was like, oh, that's a mid jungle, right? Like it's always just Gragas Yasuo standard. And for G2, both of them were flexes. Like the support, it could be Gragas Yasuo, like 80 support.
Probably had the best, yeah. The joke was they had the 2 best Gragas players, neither of them were mid or fucking or jungle, right?
I mean, pretty much. Yep.
At one point, yeah, they did. No, here's the thing. For me with caPs, it's the opposite to Rogue, Dom. In the same way as even if Rogue had won every fucking game, I'm waiting for them to fill the playoffs. This playoffs is where I think I'm going to make my decision about caPs. If he actually looks like he just sort of phoned in part of the split and he's just playing whatever champions work at the moment or to help the comp, that's fine. If he then just goes off in the playoffs, I'm back to the old caPs narrative. But if he just plays normal like this in the playoffs, I'm sort of a bit out on him, mate. Because it's been too long now. It's been a few. I
mean, it's been a while, and then like I just want to see that old like I mean, when we had old G2 players on our shows, they would just tell us these crazy stories. They would tell us about how like right before the finals, caPs had a dream, and he woke up and like he was just sitting in the gaming room alone, and everyone walks in and he's like, "Guys, I've got it. Kog'Maw." And people are like, what the fuck? Kog'Maw? Like, what the hell? Like, we haven't practiced any Kog'Maw. It's like, no. What we do is we play Kog'Maw bot lane with Lulu, and then we win the whole fucking game. Because Yuumi was OP, everyone was picking Ezreal Yuumi, and then you had Lulu Kog to counter it, which was just like, that was so caPs. It was like, he was just this quirky guy that was like, yeah, I mean, he was just a savant about League of Legends where he would come up with these random things. I want to see that like innovator, that you know, that caPs that kind of like changed Europe and how the game was played. That's just what I'm looking for.
Here's all I need to say right now, Dom, and this one sentence alone tells you where caPs is at in his career. If caPs is playing at the moment, I go, all right, might check it out if the comp's good. If Vethio's playing, I'll probably watch every game, mate. That's all you need to know right there. Vethio is what caPs used to be, mate. Not quite like I'm not going to put him to like wreck all the Koreans. He still has to level his career, but like that, he's an exciting player like he used to be. Like he might just pick a champion and just shit stomp the whole game, mate. I miss that caPs. That's what used to be so exciting. I missed that.
Definitely.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.